Tom Mayanek along with John Amendola of Mintink Sports Cards in Toronto, one of the real movers and shakers in the country's largest market. 3 locations, building an experience center. He's got a lot going on, but he isn't a direct relative of Anthony Amendola formerly of the New England Patriots. But I'm sure you've had some fun with that, John, because I'll tell you, during those Patriots dynasty years, those last couple of Super Bowl championships, including the incredible comeback from 28-3, Anthony Amendola figured prominently.
He was there. So first of all, I got to say, Tom, thanks so much for having me here. It's great to be here, and I really appreciate the opportunity to get on with you. I had some great fun with Amendola in the Super Bowl. I think he had 4 or 5 really big catches. My claim to fame for a while was he was my long-lost cousin. If you know us Italians, we have a lot of cousins, but at the end of the day, he's not really related, but I definitely took advantage of it for sure.
So, but you don't have any Anthony Amendola New England Patriots cards in your collection?
You know what? I might have 1 or 2 floating around. I might have a jersey. I might have a Lego figure of him on my bookcase in my office, but, maybe I don't.
Hey, give us the skinny on Mintink Sports Cards. You've got the 3 locations in Greater Toronto. You've got an experience center, some real added value that's being created that will also help you do this in the right way and in a special way that engages with fans. But how did you get into this in the first place, and were you a collector back in the day when you were a little guy?
So yeah, actually, I was. I actually collected for most of the first sort of almost 20 years of my life, and even into my 20s, sort of as a business. So, late 90s into the early 2000s, when high-speed internet was just coming around and eBay was a thing. We were heavily involved, and at that time we were doing more, buying some estate sales collections, repurposing them, and that was a time where there was a lot of money. You'd pay people with money orders or cash in the mail. It was a different time we lived in, running classified ads in those things called newspapers and whatever have you. So into the end of that decade, I started to take off in my advertising and marketing career, and from the late 2000s until about 2017, 18, I still remained somewhat connected. One of my media ventures were a series of local newspapers where we would go out and cover local community events. And I'd get a kick, a couple of times a year. I'd see a local card show, and, there would be a local shop in the area I'd drop into sort of once a year, but definitely not avid or in any kind of business or investment capacity until about 2018. Sort of dove back in, caught some breaks on YouTube, started to, buy a few of the things that maybe I wanted when I was younger and I couldn't. And in around 2019, I started to look at it a little closer. At the time I'm operating my marketing agency, and we're looking at the retail category and things like, live shopping, entertainment that are really kind of changing the way. And we tried to do some stuff. It just didn't really work. And then the pandemic hit. We converted one of our studios at the time we literally turned it into a card store. So it was a 300 or 400 square foot set that we designed to look like a card store with 4 or 5 cameras running. And next thing you know, we spit this out across 4 or 5 different social platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And we created a show trademarked called Breaks After Dark. So the whole idea at the time, we were in lockdown, and, people were really yearning for a sense of community, some camaraderie, and really just some fun. And that's what it was, almost like a sports talk show, but, we rip boxes all day, and it really evolved. We've had quite a few, hockey players, baseball players. I had a Paul Wall, a Grammy Award-winning rapper, rip some boxes with us one night, and then that's just, here we are 4 years later, and the brand is really just, really exploded here in the GTA, and we really just, we do exactly that. We really sell an experience. We try to make collecting cards, the world of hockey and football and basketball and Pokemon cards, just really fun and different. So that's kind of the skinny.
When it comes to Mintink sports cards, how and why did you come up with that? Why was that the solution from a positioning point of view?
So basically, we look at it again. I'm always trying to look at it first from the customer's point of view. In this day and age, people are after three things: convenience, value, and ease. And if you can give a consumer those three things with the ultimate experience, it's pretty difficult to really compete with that in a sense of you've created something just on its own. There's a really good book called The Blue Ocean Shift, and it sort of explains that a little bit better. But ultimately, that was sort of what my vision was. It was to create the ultimate, one-stop experience. We want to hold your hand through the whole journey, but more importantly, we wanted to create this community, just like how you would imagine any sort of local community, whether it be a church or, the Boys and Girls Club or the book club or the chess club or, so you're at that point, you're socializing with, you're hanging around with like-minded sort of individuals. The name Mintink, it's just a play on words. Coming from a print background, ironically, if you really think about it, I mean, we're still in the print business. We're selling, paper and ink, so to speak. Yep. So mint is a form of measurement in the category. When a card is in, perfect condition, we say it's in mint condition, and the scale being from, 1 to 10. So a mint 10 is the perfect grade, and then ink is, it's ink on a card. So we sort of took the old school, the new school, a little bit of a play on words, and we put it together. So we're Mintink, and like I said, we really are an experience or an entertainment brand, if you will.
As a brand geek myself, I love it. Congratulations to you, John. We've got John Amendola of Mintink Sports Cards. Let me ask you this. We've had guests who do retail in Southern California, and of course it is such a powerful professional sport market with a couple of major league franchises in Los Angeles, basically in each of the leagues. Toronto, obviously the largest market in Canada, the only market that's got an NBA team, the only market that's got a Major League Baseball team. What is it like doing Mintink, doing sport card retail in a market like Toronto, obviously dominated by the Leafs and increasingly among younger fans, the Raptors?
Yeah, it is. You're right. I mean, you can't forget about the MLS. You can't forget about the CFL. So we are. It's very diverse. There's also millions of people, but that's exactly how we find it. It is a lot more diverse than people first might think, because they do. The Leafs do dominate the media landscape for sure. And that hasn't changed. The Leafs are still Toronto's sort of number one, but especially amongst the younger demo, basketball and soccer is emerging. Soccer is a big one for us here. I mean, GTA is very, very, very diverse, very big European cultural base, and people forget. Soccer. If we talk about, we're both like the marketing and the branding thing. If you look at social following and you take, Premier League, EPL, Champions League, and Serie A, and you put them together, and you take the 4 or 5 major North American markets and you put them together, it's not even close. Like Champions League alone almost has a bigger reach than those. Now we're talking globally, of course. So I mean, lots of diversity, but yeah, Toronto, the Leafs and the Raptors. This week everybody's looking for Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett cards.
We're talking to John Amendola of Mintink Sports Cards, talking Toronto sport card retail and what we can learn on a coast-to-coast basis. Toronto Maple Leafs, of course, in Vancouver to play the Vancouver Canucks at Rogers Arena. It's all part of Hockey Day in Canada. I know one of your directors is a big Canucks fan. You guys have got to have some kind of a friendly wager going.
I try to keep it. I try to keep it just friendly, and as most Leaf fans, it's really tough to bet on the Leafs because every year we're going to win the Stanley Cup. Every year we're going to make it out of the first round. Every year we're not going to blow 4 or 5 goal leads, and we still do. So I'm okay with just a friendly banter. But there's a tremendous amount of Canucks fans out this way, and it's very you see it at the expo. The amount of Bure jerseys, I noticed that this year. There was a lot of the Rockets jerseys out there. So I mean, we'll see what happens. West Coast late night game for us. You know, you guys are on an absolute tear. I love the Canucks. I love Kuzmenko. I love Hughes. You know, these kids are great. Brock, I think you guys have a great team. I love seeing, all the Canadian teams being competitive. So, you know, at the end of the day, we'll keep the peace right now. If it was the playoffs, the whole tone of this interview might change, Tom.
Let me ask you this. Austin Matthews is on quite the heater. What has that done for an already hot card value that he's carried, in not only the Toronto marketplace, but across the country?
So a great question. A lot of the value, especially of the young stars, these Hall of Famers in the making, it really is predicated off of their performance. You know, a kid like Bedard going out, setting all these records, we're not going to take anything away from the fact that his injury was his jaw, but, you know, that's better for everybody, you know, the league and himself, most importantly, than it was a concussion or he tore an ACL or something. So Matthews is on an absolute tear, on pace for 60, 70 plus goals. So what that does to his market, it definitely, the market trends, there's actually indexes in the space. It's really become almost its own alternative asset class. So if you follow the index, you'll see now he'll be on a steady decline up. What'll happen is it really, where it ends and lands will really be dependent on where the playoffs go. And you could see a big dip. You could see it hold steady. With these perennial stars, though, the market does consistently, it has proven to consistently, on average, go up year over. But yeah, when these guys have these tremendous campaigns, it really drives demand for the card, and that's ultimately what's driving the price of the card is the demand.
John, we've got you for another 90 seconds. Want to ask you the big headline around live breaks and just all the fun that you're having. Where does the concept of live breaks go in 2024 and beyond?
So that's a great question. And, we really, it's a question we ask ourselves on a regular basis because, to stay ahead of the curve, again, it's all about the experience. And I think that's what it is. We're really working on, how do we have more interactive fun with the audience? Can we do more contesting? Can we do more giveaways? Again, just really, how do we really just engage with the community? At the end of the day, we just have to continue to drive, that experience. The manufacturers do a great job with continuing to put out new product with great things. And there's always, promo cards or chases, you're going after. Now this year you've got Bedard, Wemby, CJ Stroud, Caleb Williams, baseball's full of stars. So we're really in a peak in all these markets right now where there's all this great young talent. And then look at hockey. You have a Sidney Crosby 20 years later, and statistically, people will argue he's the best player overall in the league today. So I think that's what it is. It's staying current, continuing to bring new and exciting. Right now we're actually redoing our entire production, so we're really looking forward in the second quarter to launch some new shows, a new podcast, a few new interactive events. We're launching a kids channel. So all kinds of fun stuff. Just got to keep it fun, Tom. At the end of the day, if it's not fun, people aren't going to come back.
I'll tell you, making a difference while having fun, that's the key to Zen. Business Zen. There's just no question about that. There's no question about that. Hey, listen, can't wait to get you back on the show again real soon. Happy Hockey Day in Canada. Leafs, Canucks. We'll talk again real soon. Have a terrific rest of the weekend. Thanks so much for doing this.
I appreciate you, Tom. Thanks for having me, and good luck again tonight.
He is John Amendola of Mintink Sports Cards, 3 stores, an emerging experience hub as well. And you can certainly hear the marketing and promotional background, the content creation background there, the production background in John Amendola. Next up, what is hot in Pokemon World? Roderick Foster of Pastime Sports and Games joins us to answer that question next, right here on Pastime Radio, the Collectibles Show.